What's going on, everybody? So the Green Bay Packers 2026 NFL season schedule is here. It is posted. And the one thing that crossed my mind as soon as this came out and was released, the Packers have a total of 0 international games. So the Packers don't have to pack their bags and go travel out to freaking Germany or Mexico City like a couple of the other teams. So I guess the Vikings have to go to Mexico City. Not too far, but it's kind of far. And then you got the Detroit Lions that have to travel all the way out to Germany in the middle of the season sometime. But anyway, the Green Bay Packers, you look at the schedule, I mean, right off the bat, the first 4 games seem like they are winnable games without Micah Parsons. They kind of scheduled this in a way that kind of gives the Packers an opportunity to actually win these football games if they play beyond the level of their opponent. They can't be like last season where they kind of played at the level of their opponent. So the first week, they go up against the Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota, 4:25 football game on CBS, and they go out there and we'll see how it goes. You know, the Vikings have a different team this season. They got Kyler Murray. And then the second week, the Packers travel out to, so back-to-back away games. They travel out to New York to take on the Jets. Geno Smith is now their quarterback. I don't see how the Packers can lose this game, but the same thing was said about the Browns game last season. Then the Packers faced the Atlanta Falcons in Green Bay. So the Falcons, a warm weather team traveling out to a cold weather game. I think this is a winnable game. The Packers could be at least 2-1 or 3-0 at this point. Then the Packers have to travel out to Tampa Bay to take on the Buccaneers. Buccaneers are without Mike Evans. They have Egbuka. However, the Packers traveling out to Tampa in October, that can be a little bit warm for the Packers to handle. So that's going to be might be the first real challenging game, depending on how well Kyler Murray plays in the first week. But the fourth week can be a challenge there. And I'm sure the Packers are circling that 5th week game because they will go up against the Chicago Bears in Green Bay, the 5th week. And I think at this point, either the 4th week or the 5th week, we will see Micah Parsons make his return from his ACL injury. I'm looking forward to that. This game is going to be on Fox, probably a primetime game, 4:25. Yeah, they'll probably have this game on almost every single channel, depending on what else is on in your area. But week 6, the Packers go up against the Dallas Cowgirls. This season, it's in Green Bay. Big game there because the Dallas Cowgirls traded Micah Parsons to the Packers, and the Packers traded away Rashawn Gary to the Dallas Cowgirls this offseason. So that should be a very interesting game to see. It is a Sunday night football game. The Falcons game was a Thursday night football game, by the way. But see what happens. Week 7, the Packers go up against the Detroit Lions. Almost 1 week before Halloween in Detroit. This could be a tough game depending on how well the Detroit Lions play. They got a new offensive coordinator apparently. And apparently they drafted much better. They got a little bit better, I guess, on paper. But we'll see. Then the Packers got a Thursday night football game again. They got 2 Thursday night football games. Thursday night football against the Carolina Panthers in Green Bay. We'll see if the Packers can redeem themselves as they lost to the Carolina Panthers last season. I believe it was in Green Bay. And week 9, the Packers go up against the New England Patriots, who are they were in the freaking Super Bowl, the Patriots. Apparently they made it to the Super Bowl last season and lost in the Super Bowl. But people think, the Patriots, They're going to absolutely destroy the Packers this season. I don't know about that. I really don't know about that. The Patriots lost some players, they gained some players, just like the Packers. But the Packers are going to travel out to New England, cold weather environment that the Packers are used to playing in. And I think we'll see what happens. Packers got a great shot at winning that football game. Then week 10, the Packers go up against the Minnesota Vikings in Green Bay. We'll see how if Kyler Murray is even still the quarterback at this point. Is he injured? Is he actually playing? He tends to get injured. He doesn't always play every season. He has great capability, but it's a game of injuries. We'll see what happens. Week 11, it's a bye week. Great opportunity to have a bye week because the following week, Packers have to pack their bags and travel all the way out to Los Angeles to take on the LA Rams. Again, injuries is part of this game. You're at this point of the game, there might be a bunch of injuries. It could be a bunch of injuries on the Packers side. It could be a bunch of injuries on the Rams side. But a lot of people are picking the Rams just because how they played in the playoffs. They didn't make it to the Super Bowl, but they are still a really good team. Then week 13, the Packers travel out to New Orleans. I think this is a very winnable game. Very winnable game against New Orleans. But the New Orleans Saints seem like an up-and-coming team. People might underestimate their capabilities, but I would not play at their level. Play at the Packers level, a much higher level. Following week after that, the Buffalo Bills play the Green Bay Packers Sunday Night Football. Again, injuries part of this game. See what happens at this moment in time. Packers I think they can beat the Bills, but it'll be a good test to see just where they're at, because the Buffalo Bills are a very competitive team. I give them a lot of credit for what they're able to do. And then the following week after that, you would think that this game against the Packers against the Dolphins would be some sort of a primetime game. It isn't. Jeff Hafley is now the head coach of the Dolphins. And the Packers face the Dolphins in Green Bay. And usually the Dolphins don't play well in a cold weather environment. So this is a game in December. Those Dolphins are going to be freezing. Okay? Should be an easy win. Should be an easy win, but you never know, with all the betting going on. Then, week 16 on Christmas Day on freaking Netflix. A second Netflix game. Packers take on the Chicago Bears in Chicago. And hopefully it's a competitive game. I'm not buying Netflix, by the way. And hopefully they beat the Bears. Just demolish the Bears. They carry a huge target on their back because they did win the NFC North apparently some way, somehow last season. They got lucky. They got very lucky, the Chicago Bears. They're bound to have huge injuries this upcoming season. Their offensive line nearly had 0 injuries. They didn't lose any of their top edge rushers. They didn't lose any of their they did lose some receivers due to injuries, but DJ Moore, for the most part, played the entire season for the most part. He was there in the playoff game. Anyway, week 17, the Packers take on the Houston Texans. That can be a very tough game because the Houston Texans have a great defense. It seems to be amazing. It's going to be a Monday Night Football game on ESPN, and Packers will be fighting for a playoff spot, hopefully at this moment in time, or maybe they're fighting for the NFC North division. Final game of the season, week 18, the Packers take on the Detroit Lions. Detroit Lions have a much easier schedule this season, but it may be a game that matters or maybe a game that doesn't matter, but, we'll see how it goes. But Detroit Lions should be a little bit better this season, but who knows? Again, like I say, it's a game of injuries. But I think if the Packers are 100%, they can win all. They can technically win all these football games. This schedule, some of the opponents seem tough on paper. But I think that if they can stay healthy and some of the new guys from the past 2 seasons that have been drafted can develop further, this team can go very, very far. They can make it to the playoffs, and they can get through the playoffs, I believe. They got a new kicker. They fixed that issue. They made few upgrades at offensive line. They got a couple new corners because, again, I guess the corners weren't freaking catching the football last season. Packers got some edge rusher in DDS, I believe his name is. Dennis Sutton. Looking forward to seeing how these newly drafted players play on this team. But overall, that's the Green Bay Packers schedule. I got to do a little bit more analyzing before I can just predict their record outcome. But I think the Packers made all the right decisions that they needed to do. A lot of people thought that the Packers should have fired Matt LaFleur. Packers had 5 key injuries last season, okay? That's not in the realm of the control of the head coach. I think it's good to give him at least one more season. But, at the same time, I think Matt LaFleur is kind of sort of in the hot seat. Can't be running the ball up the middle when it's 2nd and 9. Can't be throwing a long pass all the time when it's 3rd and 1. If you need to 1 yard, why not run the ball to the side? Do some sort of trickery to get that 1 yard. They got to be more strategic in this season and not be so predictable like previous seasons. But overall, I think the Packers are looking great. Some people think they're kind of looking light on wide receiver position, but they got some guys, okay? They got some guys. There's like some guy named Sturdivant or whatever, some undrafted free agent wide receiver. He might be very good. He might not. Well, we'll see. Packers also picked up Jerry Rice's son. I don't know how good Jerry Rice's son is. He's been kind of traveling from team to team. But there you have it. It's the Packers 2026 NFL season. We got to wait a little bit till preseason, about 3 months from now. So there's a whole lot that can happen from now until then. There's still some free agents available. There might be some trades that can still happen. So is this team finalized right here, right now? Who knows? They have to still figure out the 53-man roster when the time comes. And so people will be pushed to the practice squad at some point. Marshawn Lloyd hasn't played the past 2 seasons, but the guy has great capabilities. Marshawn Lloyd, if he's healthy, look out. Some people say that Josh Jacobs has lost a step. Oh my God, Josh Jacobs lost a step. But if you look at the Packers' offensive line, they were not clicking like they should have. They put people in positions they were not used to, so that made things a little bit different. You had Elgin Jenkins at center when usually he's a guard. Then you had Jordan Morgan playing guard when in college he was an offensive tackle the whole time. But now he's going to be an offensive tackle. Packers, they move on from Rasheed Walker. Rasheed Walker gives up at least 9 penalties per game. At least. Maybe more. But I like the schedule so far. I just hope that they can be motivated, get the offensive. Right now, I think the biggest weakness right now is the offensive line and the offensive play calling. And we don't know what Jonathan Gannon's going to do with the defense. I guess he can't announce what scheme they're going to do, but he doesn't play with a scheme. He plays in a way in which it's just unpredictable, I believe. But we'll see how he does it. He was previously a head coach, but a great defensive mind. Defensive tackle was a huge issue last season when Devontae Wyatt got hurt. But now they have McClellan that they got out of the draft, and they sign Hargrave. Hargrave is a little bit older, but he might fit the part better here in Green Bay than he did with Minnesota. But overall, that's all I got to say. I got a lot to say, and maybe I'll make more videos later, probably. But stay tuned. Hit the like, comment, and subscribe buttons, and go Pack Go all day.